Are you ready? Stand by.
All right, welcome to the Three Gun Show, brought to you by Armalite. This is a special Match Recon episode. I'm your host, Dave Hartman, and here with me is Field Correspondent Adam Maxwell. Adam, how you doing?
Field Correspondent.
I just made that up.
I am putting that on a business card and handing it out like nobody's business.
You know, that and a couple of drinks will get you some attention from the ladies at the bars.
You know, it couldn't hurt.
Well, so Adam, I'm excited to have you here, man. The Match Recon episodes they're gaining popularity, and just with the second, the third one that I've put out, and the fourth one, it's people are digging them. People are liking the Match Recon. It seems like a lot of people are listening to them. And I'm getting feedback from guys that are there. Oh yeah, it was just like I thought, or just like I saw it too, and you know that was the same thing. And then there's people that hit me up and say, you know what, I want to shoot that match next year because of the Match Recon episode, which has been kind of cool.
And what was interesting to me when you started doing them, because I was at the first few that you did.
Yep.
I was actually on your squad.
Yeah.
At that match. So I was there in person and I heard the episode, and you really did capture it in this format. I believe this is an aggregate of what the listeners have said they wanted to hear, and I think it translated very well in a palatable way that you could objectively, get the feel for what the match is, because they are all so very different.
They are, and one thing that I've noticed about traveling around the country is we were talking about this last night and a couple nights ago with some friends of yours. Is people are completely different, but the flavor of matches is completely different.
Yes.
Regionally.
Yes.
And it's really interesting. And then when I had you and Sazan on in episode 106, we were talking about you were talking about how shooters are different from region to region because of what they practice the most. And
yes,
that like popped a bubble in my head and made me pay more attention to the type of shooters that I run into and their strong suits, which has been really interesting. If I remember correctly, you said that the Florida shooters are really good at pistol. Up here in Minnesota, you guys are shotgun heavy for various reasons. Out west, there's a lot of long shots, so there's good riflemen. Yeah,
I say Westerners are typically riflemen. Southeasterners are very strong on the pistol. And Midwesterners lean on the shotgun as a preference. Like if they're given a choice, what they're going to do, if you roll into some option stage and you can shoot it all with the pistol, the guys from Georgia are going to shoot it all with their pistol. But if we roll in there, like, oh yeah, no, I'll just quad right here and I'll get like 3 doubles and it'll be great. So.
Yeah. And you guys walk around with your chokes on a keychain up here. You've always got them.
Do you not?
Well, I'm a poor example of a shotgunsman because
can I ask you a personal question?
Yeah.
How many chokes do you have?
How many chokes do I have, or how many do I use?
How many do you have?
I have 3. I have the 3 that came with the shotgun.
That's very interesting.
It's turkey, and I think IC and mod.
Well,
and
we can tell a lot about your personality by what chokes you have, and that. That paints a very, very dismal picture for you, Mr. Hartman.
Really?
Yes.
I need to get better chokes?
It's not going to work out. You're not in Kansas anymore.
That's right. Yes. People are looking at me like, aren't you going to change chokes? I'm like, I don't know. No.
Why? Should I use the turkey here? Yeah. Like, no, it's not lunchtime yet.
Well, so Adam, when we were chatting pre me going out on my 2017 road trip,
yes,
and pre me coming to Minnesota here, you were like, Dave, what would you think about someone else doing some match recon that has been to different matches? And I was like, that'd be cool because, there's a ton of matches out there and I can't be at them all for, financial and time reasons, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, well, what do you think about me doing them? And I was like, I don't know, man.
You're kind of a loose cannon.
No, so we talked about the matches that you've been to this year, and I thought it would be a great addition to the show, and I'm happy that you brought it up because this is totally cool. It's going to be a lot of fun. So let's jump right into it. And for the listeners out there, you're going to be hearing a lot more from Adam as the year progresses, and he shoots matches that I haven't shot, and brings the Match Recon data back to you.
Yeah, we want to widen the breadth of the work.
Yeah.
So we want to bring you as much info so if you can only go to however many are in your budget, you can make the best decision of what match, fits what you're looking for or plays to your strengths or
is located in
it. Yeah. I mean, who doesn't love Vegas? Maybe you want to go to Vegas.
Maybe you do. Yeah, we're missing a Vegas match right now.
Are we? Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, the Safari Land Expedition match.
Yes, I was very bummed out.
I know.
I couldn't fit that one in. That one sounded like a lot of fun.
It does. Yeah, I like that format, and I need to have Pete back on to talk about it.
I love being able to sign up in more than one division. That goes back to my IDPA days. They used to let you sign up with more than one gun, and I was all about it. And I wouldn't just use the same gun that fit into two different divisions. I would switch guns and holsters. Yeah, oh yeah. Absolutely.
Did you have a different vest for each gun?
Yeah. No, well, no, I didn't. I did. Fun fact, though, being a southpaw, we had to wear the silly vest.
Mm-hmm.
So I did take it to an embroidery shop. I had them embroider a 1911 and an arrow on my right shoulder pointing towards my left shoulder. So the ROs, when they would walk up behind me, they would go to the right side.
I think that's against the spirit of the concealed carry garment.
Well, I couldn't wear it into the 7-Eleven anymore. Concealed wasn't very concealed. It was more like a fire extinguisher.
Yeah,
I told
no
you
kidding.
where to pull the pin.
It's pretty awesome, though. All right, so Adam, let's get into it, man. So tell me about the match you shot.
All right. Well, I wanted to talk about the 2017 Seekins Precision High Desert Championship. I just got back from that one a couple weeks ago here. So it took place over June 9th and 10th at the Parma Rod and Gun Club in Parma, Idaho, which is just outside Boise, about half an hour. It was a time plus points match. The rule set is very Ironman-esque. It's their own flavor of rules. Coaching's allowed and things like that. All these scores were posted to Practice Score. It ran on an AM/PM schedule with 9 stages. I believe they went. I can't remember. I shot with the ROs, truth be told, so I don't know how the actual match went. But match fee was $250. Ended up being 98 shooters. It's a first-year match. And the division winners were Tim Ramberg in Open, myself in Limited.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Burton Thompson in Scope Tactical. Russell Fagan. I'm sorry if I butcher your name, Russell. And Trooper.
That's correct.
And Robert. Man, I'm going to butcher that one too. Coachier. Coachier? I don't even. That's tough.
I want to say Cocker. Is that how it's?
Robert C., you are the man.
Robert
right?
C.
I'm sorry, but you're a heavy shooter, so you're a better man than I. But he won heavy.
And you have an interesting last name I've never ever seen before.
Yeah. I'm gonna Google it now.
Yeah.
Maybe later.
So Russell Fagan there is a Sinistral Rifleman on YouTube, and he put out a video that is the reason I started shooting 3-gun.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the video. I don't even remember what year it was, but it was Ironman, and you start zip tied in a chair.
I've seen that video. Yeah, Jesse shared it.
Yes.
On a Throwback Thursday not that long ago.
And you know what? Talking to Jesse, that's the reason he started shooting 3-gun too. Is he saw that video. How crazy is that?
I definitely started traveling to big matches because of Ironman footage that I saw.
Mm-hmm.
It was not that video, and Ironman was nothing like that by the time that I got there.
Yeah.
But that video was pretty intense.
I thought that was awesome.
That was pretty wild.
I'm going to put a link to that in the
Yeah,
show
you're
notes.
definitely going to have to link
Check
that
that
one.
one out. All right. So were there other opportunities at the match?
I was not aware of any. Like I said, this was a first-year match, so it was definitely in the fledgling stage.
Mm-hmm.
A little bit of backstory, as I understand it, we're talking about the Ironman. The Ironman ran for 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, the Gibsons decided that 20 years was a good run, and they needed a year off. That's the official version of the story anyway. So they were taking a year off this season, and they would allegedly be back next year. You get mixed reviews as to whether that's actually going to happen or not. But the date opened up on the schedule, and so Aaron took it upon himself to put on a match in its place.
Yeah, Aaron at Odinworks, right?
Yes. I'm drawing a blank on his last name. Goodfellow. Aaron Goodfellow. So he put on this match in the same slot in the calendar with a similar flavor. That they advertised it as being a scaled-back Ironman.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because if MGM's not the title sponsor, they don't have as much targetry to play with.
Sure.
In the past, what MGM would do is they would put a crazy amount of steel out. It was the MGM website on terra firma. Like anything
Nice.
you could find on this website that you could shoot with a rifle, pistol, or a shotgun, it was out there. So they would throw it out there, and then they would put it out at a discount for anyone who shot the match.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, and the deal was if you wanted something, you go out with a Sharpie and you put your name on it, and then you settle up with Travis and whatnot, but you had to remove it from the range.
Oh, cool.
So the thought being that they set it all out, and then you take it away.
It's easy teardown, yeah.
Yeah, you get the discount if you haul it.
That's
if you
a
haul
great
it away.
idea, actually.
Yep. So, but they were trying to maintain the flavor of that match in perhaps a more scaled down or I guess normalized version, because the round count of Ironman is easily twice what a normal major is.
Right.
So they scaled it back to a round count you would expect. I think they advertise like 150 per gun on the same range, kind of the same-ish format. And then went from there. But being a first-year match, you look at attendance numbers. Any first-year match doesn't get huge numbers for attendance. So that they had 98 people, and to my knowledge, they didn't have any side matches going on or things like that at this particular rendition of it.
Okay. So our first category is match flavor. So guessing that's Ironman-ish, and for those not familiar with that type of match, can you explain that for us?
The match flavor, I would say, is very Western. For anybody who's been out in the Vegas, Utah area, it's vast space with a lot of targets that you can shoot really fast, and they're a little bit simpler on the facade. So they're not crazy about the technical layout of their walls. Instead, they'll just roll a dump truck into a middle of stage, and that's and that's one of the things you got to do in this match. You shot out of the back of a dump truck.
Really?
Yeah, they just wheeled a ramp up to it. You ran up into the dump box of the truck. You shot a bunch of stuff. There's a dump box there. You threw your rifle in, then you jumped out of the back of the dump truck.
That sounds fun.
Yeah, instead of putting this wall here and that wall there, and
shoot under this wall, shoot over that wall,
building something up in AutoCAD. No, they just roll out this Suburban that you've been shooting out of forever, and then they put some targets around it, which I define as Western style.
Yeah,
it's kind of the Western matches that I've been to. That kind of seems to be a common theme
of having a giant prop in the middle of a bay or something like that.
Yeah, they're a little bit simpler on the props, if you will,
right?
And they use just a lot of targets that you can shoot pretty fast. They don't have a lot of trees in the desert, so there's not a whole lot to hide behind. They just kind of have a bay.
That's why if you ever hear me complain about a jungle run, it's because we don't have jungles where I'm from.
Don't even get me started on jungle runs. I'm ROing the jungle run at the Trigun right now.
Yeah, so for
my feet hurt very bad.
Folks at home that are playing along, we are in Minnesota and we are at the Nordic Vortex Trigun, and Adam is ROing the shotgun jungle run, which is like a 57 round count.
47.
47.
It probably covers. I haven't paced off, but it's easily 70 yards that you got to run.
Yeah,
it's long.
And it's in the woods, and when I shot it, all the foliage and everything was obscuring the targets, and now it's like wide open spaces.
It was. There's 5 targets over here, and we're like, where?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Now it looks like somebody went in there with the buzzsaw and just mowed everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway.
So back to this match. So
I would say
Western
it's a
flavor.
very Western style. They have a lot of space. They have really big bays. And it's a lot of targetry packed in that you can really just ride the lightning and shoot it all. The other unique thing about this match that is also a carryover from Ironman is they do bonus rifles.
Oh yeah,
they do the long range bonus rifles. It has no bearing on your division, so you're allowed to use a straight up PRS bolt gun or gas gun or whatever it is, and they'll have targets at various ranges, and they're worth various amounts of points. It's your option to shoot them for bonus, so it obviously takes time to shoot them, and in theory you can work your way back and buy yourself some time shooting the bonus guns. But they definitely have the facility to do it, so it's always been pretty popular at Ironman to do the bonus guns, and they kept that alive in this match. I think there were two stages for sure that you could shoot the bonus gun on, if not 3, out to, I want to say 900-ish yards, 900 or 1,000 yards. But they had intermediate ranges too, 7, 6, 5, and they're various sizes also. I flew in to this match. I don't have a long-range gun. I've had a bad experience in the past, so I just went ahead and passed on the whole bonus gun thing. So I don't remember the specific ranges, but it was a key theme to the match. It's definitely there and present, and if you're excited about that kind of thing, it might definitely appeal to you if you got some PRS interest or skill.
Right. Okay. So tell me about the terrain at the range.
The terrain at the range, it's like.
And so I'm sorry, since this is your first one we're doing here.
Yeah.
So terrain is kind of like describe the terrain, and then also is this a bay match or a natural terrain match?
I hate those terms.
Do you? Oh, let's talk about that for a minute.
I hate those terms.
Talk to me, Goose.
Well, as you know, Dave, I'm in sales and marketing in my professional life, and so I know those to be buzzwords.
Yes.
I know that I can get people, or I can get people to come to a match if I say the words long range, natural terrain, and what else? Definitely natural terrain, though.
Yeah.
Natural terrain and shots out to however many 100 yards, they're going to come running.
You know what I've noticed a lot? I was going to make a 3-gun ad-libs book. It would be there'd be one for stage descriptions. There'd be one for like how to describe a match, and then one for like match report that shooters do. So for the how to describe a match, it would be like ultimate test of your shooting skills, ultimate test of your gear.
Your skills will be tested.
Your skills will be tested. Ultimate test of your gear. That sort of thing. And then for the shooter recap, sponsor shooter recap, it would be had a good time at, and then a little blank where you just put in the match.
Yeah. Insert Facebook post.
Exactly. My blank ran well, and blank is going to be
whatever gun company you're sponsored by.
Exactly.
Or want to be sponsored by.
Rifle or pistol or my blank ran well.
Squad number blank was awesome.
Squad number blah was the thing. Thanks to match staff and all blah, blah, blah.
All the ROs and the company that donated the prize that I won.
Yeah. So that's 3-gun ad libs because there's not a lot of creativity in that sort of thing.
Yeah. So I don't like those terms just because of the political connotations that go with them. Outlaw versus whatever organization, natural terrain versus bay matches.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't like it. Just because it's, I don't know. I just think the terms are overused or used to mean things that they weren't intended.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Tri-Gun is here. They advertise it as a natural terrain match, or people perceive it as a natural terrain match. 3-Gun Nation holds a match here, and somehow it's magically strictly a bay match.
Yeah.
They used exactly the same facility.
Yeah, and that's I've found that to be true as well. And I've actually had discussions with people of, you know, defending 3-Gun Nation as being the burn 'em down bay stages is like, well, I've shot out to 500 yards or I guess it was like 400 yards at a 3-Gun Nation match.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
and
they'll tell you they're more outlaw than outlaw. I mean,
you think that's true?
yeah. You can shoot most of the targets at a 3-Gun Nation match with more than one gun.
That's true. Although I have been to 3-Gun Nation matches where they're like, these are pistol targets, these are shotgun targets,
True.
and it's like, well, why even advertise all the options if you're not going to give them to me?
And you can hot reholster.
It's true.
Which just blows every USPSA shooter's mind.
Well, so how do you want to go about talking about the terrain then at this match in Parma?
I just wanted to throw that caveat in there.
Oh,
no,
that's fine.
I did break it. So I would consider it, and you know, I said all that because I would consider this a bay match.
Okay.
But so this range basically it's in farm country in Idaho, and it's like a foothills area. So the backdrop of this range is a mountain. It's a very, very big area. It's very high.
Kind of like the Pro Gun Club in Vegas.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very much like that. At the base of this hill, is where somebody with a lot of time on their hands and an excavator made bays. They dug them out. They made the side walls. But, the backstop, the berm, is this mountain. Mm-hmm. So when they shoot out to 900 yards, you're in a bay.
Right.
But the target is up on the hill.
Oh, so you're shooting out of the bay.
Well, are you? See, that's...
Oh.
They just made walls, dividers. Have you been to Missouri? Lead Farm. Have you been to Lead Farm in Missouri?
I haven't.
It's a lot like what they do. They have really high heaped up sidewalls, and then they just kind of go out to infinity in a safe direction. And that's what this is. So they do have bays lined up, but they have some topography to work with too. They have, unknown distances that they can put targets at. And in some of the bays, they also have, they have a trench. They have a trench like a Fort Benning style.
Or like we shot at Hard as Hell.
Yes, very much like that. They have some bays that are actually like full height. They're 30 feet high or whatever they are. Wow. And it's a maze.
Really?
It's like a maze network that you can run around. If you watch some of the video of Ironman, there's a stage in there every year where you got to kind of zigzag around in there and through, and so it's a bay match. But if I were to say bay match, everyone would think, well, they got however many, 50 by 100 bays lined up just down the line.
I gotcha.
And so I don't think that's an accurate description. I wouldn't call it natural terrain either, because natural terrain implies that that's just how the glacier left it. Right. And that's not true either. So I would say it's somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
What you have to understand before you go to Parma, though, is that it's high desert. Yeah. So it's like the surface of the moon, but hot. the top surface of the ground there is like a 1/4 inch of pancake mix.
Really?
It's this super fine. It's not sand.
Called moon dust.
Yeah, it's clay, but it's super fine.
Huh.
And it gets into everything. And when, for example, if you go prone, you crack off that super awesome compensator from whoever you're sponsored by has, it will kick up a cloud of dust and you can't see anymore. Just boom! There goes visibility.
Huh.
So they'll like lay out, sometimes you can lay out a shooting mat.
Right.
Right? That'll keep it down, right? Yeah, until you walk on it and get the dust on top, and then it's boom! This is still a big cloud of dust. But so that's what you have to understand before you go there too. Is there's this dust that's part of it too, and it kind of beat the phobia into me of like I don't take my guns out of the bag until it's my turn to shoot.
Yeah.
You preload your shotgun when you're like in the hole, and then as soon as you're done shooting, you throw it right back in the bag because you don't want that thing laying out on the table and a big windstorm comes along and all of a sudden there's this sediment inside.
I do the same thing.
Inside your gun. So that's definitely a part of it too. It's the time of the year that this match is, it tends to be pretty hot. It tends to be fairly dry, and there's this dust there. That's part of it too. So equipment wise, even you want to have that in mind when you go there. I mean, you don't want to trust a magazine that you've let fall on the ground. You want to brush it out before you load it again.
That seems odd.
Some of my more sensitive mags. I'm one of the last true gunfighters that uses one of those Surefire 60 round magazines. I load it in the hotel room. I put it in a Ziploc bag. I take it out right before I shoot.
That's awesome. You ever put it in your bag pouch in the Ziploc bag?
No.
That'd be awesome.
I'm sure the day is coming. And you got to use a new Ziploc bag too, because if it gets holes in it, the dust will find a way. But that's the terrain. It's a mix of what the glacier left and what somebody dug out with an excavator, and there's a lot of dust and a lot of wind.
Okay.
So that is the terrain.
All right. So tell me about the skills utilized or required for this match.
So, like we alluded to in the pre-talk there, it's a Western match. So it's, I would say, I wouldn't say rifle heavy, because rifle heavy would imply that rifle is the focus and everything else is an afterthought. All three of the guns are addressed equally, but I would say the rifle decides the match.
Yes. If you ask Lance Dingler, then that's the case with any match.
Well, Lance hasn't been up here.
Yeah, I would say that is definitely not the case here.
I would say that this match is the hardest shooting I've ever done in limited division.
Really?
Yes.
Because of all the rifle?
Well, not so much because of all the rifle, but the presentations. So all the long-range targets weren't the flashers we're typically used to, or you think they were like Steel Challenge plates or BCC plates put out there, and they were painted white when they put them out there, and then they painted a contrasting color around the outside edge.
Right.
However, the color they chose was green.
And you don't see green?
And then they put it in a big sage patch.
So now the target looks smaller.
So now, similar to what we ran into today, actually the inverse, but a 8-inch or a 10-inch plate now looks 4 to 6 inches, and now find it with an unmagnified optic.
Right.
When the sun's blaring on it in the desert against the sage.
Under a clock.
And it's painted white. It was hard to see. Some of them were really hard to see. Makes them all the more righteous when you hit them. I had to leave some out there. But if I go back, I'll be shooting scope tactical.
Really?
I'll be breaking out the 1.26 again because that was way more fun than what I was doing. So that was so definitely a test of the rifle skills for sure. And then also we talked about the bonus rifles. So
did you get to play around with anyone else's rifle or anything while you're out there?
I'm sure I could have if I wanted to. I just was kind of the mindset that because I've tried before. I've borrowed friends' rifles here, at home, and brought them out to the at the time Ironman to shoot. I had mixed results. One time I did pretty good. One time I did really bad. And so it was always kind of a psyche thing. Like you're shooting this rifle on the clock at a big match that you care about that you don't know.
Oh, yeah.
In a game where the dope is everything.
Right.
So since I didn't know it, since it was a bonus, and that's the other thing about bonuses is sometimes they're a trap. It depends how much the bonus is worth.
Right.
If a hit's only worth 5 seconds,
Yeah,
who cares?
Yeah, it's nothing.
If it's 30 seconds, why call it a bonus target? You pretty much have to hit that thing, So
well, that's something that Craig Outson said in the TPC class I took. He said it's only a bonus until someone hits it.
Yep. And I'm not. I would say in the context of a 3-gun match, that's true. In the context of a 4-gun match, I'm using the air buddies there. I don't know. It depends. Because if you know your bolt gun and the juice is worth the squeeze, it's absolutely worth it. But if it's you're on the clock still.
Right.
On
Is it at the end of a stage or something like that?
No, it's in the middle of the stage.
Oh, really?
So it's shooter ready beep, and you can elect to do the 3-gun part, or you can elect to shoot this bonus rifle.
Oh, wow.
So some guys would go to war with it. They would get focused on the long range because they like long range guys. They like long range, right?
Yeah.
So they're gonna
then your ego gets wrapped up into it.
Yeah, and now you're 100 seconds into a 300-second stage, and you haven't even shot any of the required targets yet.
Wow.
So that
is a big trap.
That's the conundrum. Now, what Aaron did at this match that I thought was interesting that they didn't do at the Ironman is they set a cap on how long you could shoot.
Oh, okay.
So I want to say it was 50 seconds or something like that. The ROs would tell you that you had to leave. You had to leave the bonus gun and start engaging the other targets.
Oh, that's nice of them.
Yeah. So that part I liked because some of those guys would really, they would just time out on it. But that was definitely a skill at this match that if PRS is something you have in your back pocket, you could turn the tables in your favor, or if it isn't, you didn't have to use it and you could just try to run faster and get ahead. And I think that's the mentality that I went in there with is like I don't have a bonus gun that I know and trust. I don't want to mooch ammo off somebody else. Right. So I was like, I'm just going to shoot the required targets and see what that buys me. So.
Okay. So then in the main match in the 3-gun portion, what were like the farthest shots and maybe number of long range targets?
Oh, you know what? Well, let's back up.
Sure.
One other note I had out there, they have a lot of circus targets.
Okay, tell me about that.
Because MGM is not a sponsor of this particular match this year, but that's MGM's stomping grounds.
Yeah, it's an homage to MGM, right?
Yeah, so a few of the escaped mutants of MGM are out there.
Escaped mutants.
I don't know. Yeah, so
it's like the R&D for like the propeller rack and stuff like that.
Yeah, so you can bet your bottom dollar you're going to see a few spinners.
Okay.
You're going to see propeller plate racks. You're going to see swingers. They have all the toys.
Gotcha.
That people outside of that area dream about because of their proximity and whatnot, and maybe some of it was donated and whatnot. But I guarantee you they're going to be there. Okay. So they have a lot of circus targets there, which I like, which is part of the reason I go to the big matches. Is to get a chance to shoot some of those. So you get to shoot a spinner with a rifle. You get
at what distance?
100 yards.
Okay, that's doable.
100-ish yards, but it's hard. with a rifle.
It's
it is
difficult,
hard.
but it's doable.
And the real diabolical target they had was a spinner, and they punched a 2-inch hole in the middle of it, of the strike plate on each one.
It's bastards.
So if you would center punch what would be the plate, your bullet would zing right through.
And is that with a pistol?
Yeah, with a pistol. It was fairly close, but it was really hard. It was whoever came up with that, you tipping the hat to that guy.
Nice.
Because you are a far more evil stage designer than I am.
Well, that would be good for me because I rarely hit things in the center.
I thought the same thing. And then it's kind of like when you forget that slug you candy caned into your shotgun.
Yeah.
You can center punch a 5x5 plate with a slug when you don't mean to. But you can't hit a steel challenge
so
2x4 plate with on purpose. So.
Dude, yeah, it's so true. And then along the same token, you can miss a birdshot target. But if you got a slug in there,
I mean, it's
thing.
a steel-seeking missile.
Awesome.
But so the distances, I don't remember the bonus gun distances, but they were bonus gunny distances.
Mm-hmm.
They were 700 yards, 650, 550. I know I heard a 700. Would not surprise me if there was a 900 or an 800 in there somewhere.
Okay.
But as soon as they said bonus guns, I was like, more music, less RO in that part of the briefing in my head. But the required targets, the longest required target was, I want to say 392 yards. I have no idea how I can remember that number, but 392 yards. There weren't that many, but like we talked about, they were hard because they were hard to see. They were definitely hard to see on the day that I shot.
When you say weren't that many, would you say less than 10 or more than 10?
Long-range targets?
Yeah.
Less than 10.
Okay.
Yes. I define long-range to be more than 200 yards.
Same here.
Well, yeah. For the context of a 3-gun match. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
It's really intermediate range in the world of rifles.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah.
This is a 3-gun show. So.
Yeah, it's the 3-gun show. I mean, we're all friends here, right? So, yeah. No, it's there were less than 10 between 200 and 400.
Okay. All right, so tell me about the logistics of the match.
Logistics of the match, as I understand them, I have to admit, I was there for a meeting with one of my sponsors, Primary Weapon Systems. So we were there in the middle of the week, and they actually opened up some squads, the RO squads, to regular attendees of the match to shoot through if they wanted to. That was my understanding anyway. We were the only ones that took them up on it, but I don't think that's something they did because we quote unquote were special.
Right.
I think that's just how they got more people to help reset. Really, it's like, oh yeah, if you want to come out on a Wednesday, sweet.
Makes sense.
So we were shooting with the ROs when we shot. There were 2 squads of ROs going. But my understanding of how the real match went was it was AM, PM over 3 days, and I think they did 4, and 2. And then the prize table on the 3rd day was how it played out.
And so did they have like a check-in where you go and say, hey, I'm here. They make sure you're there.
Yep.
Give you a packet.
They had the big circus tent set up, and you go in there, and I think Aaron himself was there signing you in, handing you your T-shirt. I think they had a goodie bag. I can't remember. There were definitely T-shirts, and yes, there was definitely a place where you could sign in and get your match book and kind of get the skinny on what was going on.
Okay. And how did the I think this is part of that. How smooth did the stages go? I mean, granted, you shot with the ROs, but
the stages went pretty smooth. They definitely, I could tell they had an eye in the emails and when they actually were on the ground. They had an eye towards stages that ran about the same amount of time. I mean, they were consistently long stages, which is another thing that probably goes to the style of the match. You're going to have times consistently over 130 seconds, I want to say. Like, you know, if you're shooting fast.
All right.
You know, so they're long stages compared to a 50 or a 60-second stage. But they all were set up to be about the same amount of time. And then they had an eye towards alternating schedules. I think they actually only ran like half the stages at any one time. So there were gaps from what I understand. So they had all the tools in place for a match that would run smoothly and on time.
Okay.
Which is a big deal. If you're at all a match director like I am, like you live and die by the schedule.
Right.
If it doesn't run on time, you're losing hair or fingernails or something. I mean, but no, it looked like a match that was going to run on time. I don't know if it did. It seemed to. We finished shooting on the first day of the real match. There were a couple of stages we couldn't get in, so we were there when they started shooting the regular match, and it was running smoothly and on time from what we could see.
Okay. Yeah, it has to be difficult to shoot ROs on a match like Ironman or this one because they're so long.
Yeah, and you know, I love them, but they're generally not the most athletic guys either.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, it can get pretty long.
Right.
It can get pretty long. We had a good group though. We definitely had a good group, and they helped my teammate Freddie and I get shot through. They weren't even shooting those days. They just worked us through a couple stages that they shot the previous day, and yeah, it was a really good crew.
Okay. So we already talked a little bit about the venue and the layout as far as like bays and stuff like that go. Anything else you want to add to mention about the Parma Rod and Gun Club?
It's my favorite place to go shoot still.
Really?
I mean, I like it a lot. They have a lot of, it's a bay area, but they have a lot of creative styled bays. So there's a lot of interesting things that they can do stage design wise. So the stages are always interesting. They're always different than what I get at home.
Right.
So it's always worth the trip, even though it's a long way to travel.
Yeah, for you.
But
so here at Forest Lake Sportsman's Club, they have like a clubhouse. They have running water and bathrooms. We're sitting in a classroom that they built for law enforcement classes and stuff. Tell me about Parma Rod and Gun Club.
Parma Rod and Gun Club, I would say, is pretty primitive. I mean, they have an adequate number of portable latrines that come in, and they service them pretty well. There is a clubhouse, a small permanent clubhouse that's climate controlled and has bathrooms. I believe they reserve that for staff only while the event is going on. But it's a very small building. It probably, I'm not a good judge of square feet, but I mean like 30 people would fill it.
Okay.
It does have like a kitchen or like a cooking area. So generally they have caterers or somebody comes in and makes like lunch. So they're doing burgers or something like that. But there is a clubhouse there that they do use. But for the most part, you're not in it as a participant. And then of course they have the big circus tent set up too, which is where all the prize table stuff goes on.
Okay.
There's camping there. I think there are some camper hookups. Camping is very popular at that match. So there's a lot of people who bring their campers out and spend the week. So that's part of it. But yeah, they just have a lot of very big, different shaped bays. They're not square.
Right.
They have square bays too.
That's interesting that there's bays that are not square.
Yeah.
Because usually you think like you put someone in a land mover and they're just going to drive straight.
Yeah. Like it's weird.
Yeah.
It's different.
Right.
But like they have one huge bay that's not even a standard shape that they teach you in elementary school. But they built a shoot house in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they just they went to the Menards and got some plywood, and they they built an impromptu shoot house.
No kidding.
Yeah, for the match.
Huh.
So, or I would assume for the match, or if I'm sure they're going to use it until it falls over or they light it on fire. But yeah, they actually did out of 2x4s and particle board. They built a shoot house.
That's cool.
In one of the bays. So,
yeah. So big ass bays then.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. So how was the pre-com, the pre-communication?
Pre-communication was a little. I would say it was a little lacking. They did put out the information you needed. It was usually right up to within, like, past the point of where you were comfortable, like you were starting to wonder, like, when is the shooters meeting going to be?
Where do I need to be when?
But it did come out, and it did come out before the thing happened. So, or like, they sent out an email after the first day for the second day. They did send out the information. The information you needed was there. A lot of times I still had a question, like there's an unanswered question like, do I need slings?
Right.
Well, that's probably a bad example, but I think he addressed that. But there's like a question mark in there, like, I think you forgot one thing. But that's growing pains of a first year match.
Yeah, sure.
The first year I held a quasi major event. My communications weren't very good either. So, because I didn't, it just never occurred to me what information people wanted.
Right.
So I'm sure he got a ton of feedback as to what to do for next year. Yeah, it wasn't the best, wasn't the worst. Somewhere in the middle.
Okay. And how were the staff?
Staff was awesome. What else are you gonna say? But
I called a guy an asshole once.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
I might cut
think
that
a guy
out.
called me an asshole today.
Was he correct, Adam?
No, he just got DQ'd. Oh, taking creative license there, but no, the staff was good. I think they were all good people. They all understood the rules. They were calling a tight match.
For you and your information here, I struggle with this one as well, because again, what are you gonna do?
Yeah.
What are you gonna say? And this is something that
so subjective.
It's really subjective, and I try to keep most of this information objective, but this is something that the listening audience wanted to know about. So the audience obviously cares or wants to spend their dollars with people that are good people, right? Like they don't want to go to a match and be treated poorly or something. So
right. And like I said, I was with the staff when they were themselves. They weren't ROs.
Yeah. Right.
They were in their safe space, if you will.
Yeah.
But I will say this: the staff there, going back to the style, these people are going to when they're spotting your hits, they're calling corrections.
Oh, okay.
So they're telling you to come up, come right, or so they're I will say this would speak to the culture of that 3-gun community.
There you go.
In central Idaho, is that they are trying to get you to the prize table. Mm-hmm. Okay, so they want you to be as successful as you can be. If you run past a target, they're gonna say, "Hey, you forgot one." If you miss, they're gonna say, "Come left." Mm-hmm. So they're there to help you. They're not there to. They're there to record the best performance you can. They're not there to assess you penalties.
Gotcha.
Unless you earn them.
Gotcha.
So I would say that they're behind you instead of against you.
Very cool.
That's what I would say.
All right, so tell me about the fun factor. We usually call it the Dave factor. Today we're calling it the Adam factor.
Doesn't have the same ring to it.
Doesn't really. AMAX factor?
Maybe.
PPU AMAX?
I don't know.
Maxwell
We're going to have
factor?
to work on this.
Maxwell factor?
I don't know. You're going to have to do a poll on it, I think.
Yeah.
The listeners.
What should we call it? If you're listening to this and you have a great idea, or you have a poor idea, might be good. Who knows?
Yeah, right? In fact, if you have a poor idea, we're even more interested.
Yeah, exactly.
It might be gold.
I like movies that are really good or really bad. So
yeah, nothing in the middle.
Nothing in the middle. No, I got no time for that. So comments wherever you see this. Let us know. What should we call this? But for now, we'll call it the fun factor.
I'm trying to remember. Fun factor. I don't even. What's an example of a fun factor thing that you did? I guess.
So when we shot the Shooter Source Vortex 3-gun extravaganza, we got to shoot from helicopters, which I thought was awesome. We got to climb Connex boxes and shoot off of Connex boxes, which I thought was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
We got to shoot from the UTV, which was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I would say would be like a fun factor. Whereas if you just went to stages and you were like, meh.
I remember what my thought was on this, and that goes back to circus targets. The fun factor for me is all the targets that they have that they can shoot that I can't shoot here, because I can shoot spinners with a shotgun here, but that's it.
Right.
Because we can't have bullets leaving our range, because we're in a populated area.
And you're kind of a smaller range here too.
Yeah.
You got a lot of stuff packed into a good.
Yeah. Whereas
good
if they zing a bullet off a swinging spinner, it's not going anywhere that's going to hurt anyone.
Mm-hmm.
So all the exotic targets that you get to shoot out there is the attraction for me. Is all the steel.
Okay.
Because you get to shoot spinners with all the guns.
Yeah.
With all the guns, you got propeller plate racks. It's the only range I've ever seen a 3-tier plate rack at. They have three stacks of plates in a row.
Oh, wow.
Like one plate blocks the other one.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the circles you think of, then it's the squares, and then it's the triangles behind it.
Wow.
Where else are you going to see an 18-plate rack? Parma rod and gun. That's why I go, is just to shoot all those crazy targets that they have.
Gotcha. Anything funny happen at the match? Any shenanigans or stuff that will make us lull?
The closest thing that I had to that I'm willing to let you record. We're shooting through, right? And it's super awkward because
it is always awkward to shoot through. I had to do it today for the first time.
Yeah. So
see you guys later.
We're with the ROs, and they said it was cool. Like, this was intended. This is what they wanted. But Fred and I were the only ones who took them up on it. And due to circumstances that aren't important, we weren't there for the first day of the RO shoot.
Mm-hmm.
So we were there for the second day of the RO shoot, and then we got as far as we could, and then we had to make some up on the first day of the match.
Mm-hmm.
And so we shoot with the ROs for the 4 stages they had left, and then we had a crazy amount of time. We basically ate lunch and then had all afternoon. And so they were going to shoot us through 2 more stages, which we did, and that was awesome. And we're getting to the end of what we were going to do, and one of the ROs is like, "Man, this is going to be perfect because we'll be done just in time for me to get to Steel Challenge." And he's like, and we're like, "What?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, there's Steel Challenge every Wednesday night at blah 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 club." And he's like, "Oh, you guys should come." And we're like, "Well, why wouldn't we come? Of course. Where is this place? Show us to this local mecca of Steel Challenge." And so in the course of the scramble after we shot and packing our stuff up, that guy left.
Oh.
We didn't know where to go. So we're driving back towards Boise because we knew it was in Nampa somewhere. which is between Parma and Boise.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're driving back towards Boise, trying to Google rod and
Shooting
gun clubs,
ranges and
which, yeah, you could bet about how accurate that was. But we did find the place that was claiming to be Nampa Rod and Gun Club, and it was like listed on the schedule as having Steel Challenge. It's like, sweet. So we eventually find this local place. Pull up. The only gate we can find is locked, like locked hardcore.
Yeah.
And so we finish shooting, and we're like rolling up at like 4:30, and like the match starts at 5,
right?
Or it starts at 6 or whatever it is. So we're like, here, in Minnesota, when a match starts at 5, like there's dudes there an hour or two ahead of time setting up whatever it is. So we're like, this gate is locked. Is this the place? Yeah, this has to be the place. We sit there for a little while. We were like, well, eventually someone's just going to come. So we just waited and waited. We sat in the truck for like an hour. And sure enough, some dude with a key card showed up. We're like, hey, are you here for Steel Challenge? And he looks at us like we're dumb. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, all right.
So are we.
Follow me. and so we got in on this local Steel Challenge shoot while we were there that the local ROs invited us to. The guy we talked to eventually showed up. He had to go back to his house,
right,
and get rid of his 3-gun stuff and get his Steel Challenge stuff, pick up his wife and the whole deal. But yeah, we got impromptu invited into Steel Challenge. Like, hey, do you want to come? Like, what are we going to Netflix and chill in the hotel room? Like, of course we're going to come. We're going to go to Walmart and buy some more 9mm ammo and shoot Steel Challenge.
I was just thinking, like, man, Adam loves shooting. It's like, I thought I loved shooting. Adam loves shooting.
Shooting is my favorite.
Yeah. Clearly.
So it's like, yeah, we're in town to shoot, so let's shoot.
Awesome.
Show us where the shooting is. We will be there. So,
all right, Adam. Anything else about this match that we didn't cover that you think you need to add?
Just going off of some of the criterion you gave me, the venue itself is easy to access.
Okay.
So, some of these places that you go are way out 3 turns off the paved road.
Right.
This place is not. This is pretty easy to access. We actually Airbnb'd a house in Boise proper and commuted out there. So, I mean, it was only like a half-hour drive. And
it's not bad.
And one dirt road, and we were there. So the access is really easy. You have a big international airport that you can fly into. Yeah, Boise is an international airport. But a big airport you can fly into, and then easy access from that metro area to the range with all the amenities that would come with. So
gotcha.
So I did like that about this range compared to some others. But yeah, I think that's about all I have on this one.
All right. Well, that wraps up our very first match recon by field correspondent Adam Maxwell. And so, folks, show notes and stuff like that's going to be at 3gunshow.com. Check it out there. Thanks for listening.
Yep,
thanks, Adam. This has been great.
Thanks for having me on the show. Hope people found it enlightening or informative.
Absolutely.
I hope I don't get any hate mail from Aaron Goodfellow.
You never can tell with these ones. Thanks, Adam.
Thank you.
Hey, before you take off, check out the show notes at 3gunshow.com/episode 140 for links to things that we discussed in the podcast and, of course, the written form of this match recon. As usual, this podcast is brought to you by Armalite. Armalite likes the community that we're building here at the 3-Gun Show, and we have partnered up for 2017. To be sure that it is a win for you as well, Armalite has allowed me to get special pricing for listeners on their line of 3-gun rifles, both the 13.5 and the 18-inch, as well as their competition handguards, gas blocks, and tunable muzzle brakes. I got to shoot my 13.5-inch Armalite 3-gun rifle for the first time in a major match, and I was pretty impressed. I had gotten used to shooting my 18-inch rifle in the last year, and I was a little worried about hacking off 5 inches of barrel length and still being able to consistently hit targets at long range 3-gun distances. But topped with a Vortex Gen 2 PST 1-6 and zeroed for 77 grain Nexus ammo, I got first round hits on 275 and 375 yard targets, and it was super fast and easy to handle on the base stages as well. If you're interested in a 13.5 inch rifle but we're kind of on the fence for whatever reason, I say go for it. Thumbs up from me. If you're in the market for a rifle or components to build your own, email me, dave@3gunshow.com, and I'll hook you up. I'm back on the road now, traveling the country and bringing the good times back to you in podcast form, as you can see in this podcast, of course. I will have all this Armalite gear with me at matches for you to check out, so when you see me at a match, just ask and I'll be happy to show you. And you can even shoot mine if you like. A quick reminder that if you enjoyed this episode of the podcast, subscribe in iTunes, Google Play, Podcast Addict, or wherever you get your podcast content so you can always get the very latest. And leave a review too. It definitely helps the show stay in the top of the rankings, and that helps shooters like you and I find the show. A big thanks to Adam for putting in all the work to do these match recons. We put in several hours of podcasting, and you'll hear him over the next few weeks here. It's a lot of work, and he's just doing it out of the kindness of his heart to better the community. So thank you, Adam, for doing that. And thank you for listening to the show. Thank you for downloading it. Thanks for subscribing. I'm Dave Hartman, and I'll see you on the range.
If you are finished, unload, show clear.